Right, this week we're talking about chapter 22 in the America text. There's a couple of themes that I want you to look out for this week. One of the big things that we should be looking at is Theodore Roosevelt and his idea of the big stick theory, and really his idea of being able to speak softly but carry a big stick. I think that we all understand Theodore Roosevelt and the immense person that he was, how big he was. And so hopefully you're looking at some of those things as we look through this reading this week on chapter 22. One of the other big things that I want you to be able to take a look at this week is really the idea of new imperialism and colonizing smaller countries and smaller areas because we can. Because we have, as the United States or as any industrial and imperial country, are able to get out and to colonize these smaller countries. It seems crazy that in the 20th century, the 1900s, that countries haven't built their own governments, which they actually have, but we're going in and saying that we're going to colonize these savage areas, which seems interesting to me. One of the bigger themes that we're able to look at in this chapter as well is also the idea of the Pacific and being able to look at the Pacific. I have an additional reading this week, I Spied a Chinaman, which shows you the cross-cultural interaction, which we talked about last week, with the Pacific Ocean and some of the people who live on the Pacific Ocean. We start to see this new imperialization or imperialism taking over countries or places like Hawaii, the Philippines, and places like that. And so hopefully you can see some of those concepts as we move through in this reading this week. One of the things that I want to take a look at, and it won't really discuss it in either reading, but if you take a look, the LDS Church started missionary work to the Pacific during this time period. And we get a lot of other, Catholics had been out in the Pacific and doing missionary work there as well. But LDS people start to go to Hawaii, and they build the Polynesian Cultural Center, which is now a snapshot in time, is the way they like to phrase it, is that it is a Polynesian culture that has not been touched by white people. However, the Mormon Church went in, built this Polynesian Cultural Center, and they tried to have this idea of it being a culture that hasn't changed, except it definitely has. And it stems from a lot of Europeans going in and taking over and buying up land and keeping it that way, which then turns into a broader argument of should Hawaii be for Hawaiians instead of being part of the United States. There is a movement on the island which has been going roughly for 15 to 20 years of Hawaiians wanting to take back their Hawaiian islands and secede from the United States. I don't know if that will ever happen. I find it an interesting argument, one in which stems to this new idea of imperialization and the Pacific being the new frontier, if you will. The idea of Europeans or white people going out to the Pacific and taking over and taking control of the Pacific Rim. We've moved to the Pacific, and now we're looking out west into the Pacific and finding what we could control there. And so look for those themes as you're able to read about those things this week in I Spied a Chinaman, the journal article that I've posted, and also chapter 22. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a good week.